Rose couldn't help but think about the story her mother had told her, becoming lost in thought as she chewed her way through all of the food, so much so that she hardly noticed it when the food came to an end, reaching out absent-mindedly and finding only an empty plate in front of her, not noticing that she had eaten everything, leaving not a single scrap of food left in the cabin. Okay, well, that should be good enough, at least I hope, to give you an ample supply of the compound that your father's race used to empower themselves, her mother said, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. Once you learn to control that, we will have officially finished teaching you how to master your Okar abilities. But what about my teeth? Rose said, looking up at her mother. The guy, Jax, King of Atlantis, he said that my teeth were supposed to get longer too, and sharp. Oh, I see. You didn't notice. Didn't notice what? Rose replied. You called them out already. Back when you summoned your thorns, your fangs came out as well. I suppose you just didn't notice it. You were rather busy after all. They're both summoned at the same time, and in the same method. Regardless, once you master this last technique, you will have officially discovered how to use all of your Okar abilities, aside from your vines, and the defensive abilities that you'll possess from the Sky Ray. There's of course the Okar's invisibility, or camouflage technique, but according to your father, that basically runs on instinct. The moment you start trying to hide, it will take effect on its own. You only need to consciously control it when you want to not be invisible. Basically, should the situation ever arise where you're trying to hide, and yet you don't want to be invisible, you can simply maintain focus on not shifting out of sight, on keeping your physical body visible, though it seems kind of pointless to do so. So, there's no point in wasting any time, especially since time is short. I'll need to teach you as much as I can, as quickly as I can. So come along, Rose, her mother said, opening the door and gesturing for Rose to step outside. Rose was still a bit lost in thought, still caught daydreaming about her father, wishing that things could have been different. If things were only a little bit different, perhaps they could have been a family. She always wanted to know her father, and wanted her father to know her. And thinking about it, her mother and her father never truly got to be together in a peaceful way. They didn't get to spend years together, only the short time when they first met and fell in love, after which they were abruptly torn apart, which only made things all the sadder, that they never got to be a family. Rose wished things could be different, but she knew that her father was gone now, and any chance of the happy family that she wished she had was long past, and she couldn't change it. She felt a little bit better when a certain fluffy little dog barked a little bit, rubbing against her leg slightly, as she bent down to pick up the small creature that she had named Fluff, cradling it to her body and petting it gently. She felt somewhat better. At least you know what it's like to be a carnivorous plant, that is, Rose thought to herself as she pet the small dog. And her mother made her way back out to the clearing. It was nearing noon at this point, as it took Rose some time to get through all of that food. Her mother guided her to the outskirts of the clearing, somewhere around where she had initially tested her thorns. Her mother found another tree, around the same size. Okay, this should do. Now, according to what your father told me, the last Okar ability, the empowerment skill, this is used by focusing your mind on something that gives you excitement, exhilaration, like what humans feel like when they ride a roller coaster. In order to trigger the ability, you must be excited, thrilled, and in this excitement, your body will begin to produce the substance, allowing it to flow through you, empowering your body. So, the same techniques apply, Rose. Simply visualize something that allows you to attain that feeling, and the power should emerge. But first things first, you'll need to call out your thorns in order to have something to use that power with. Once you do, simply do as you did before and attack the tree, her mother said, taking a distant step away from the tree, giving Rose some space. Okay, Rose said, taking one last deep breath as she shooed Fluff away, telling him to get some distance. Okay, go on, boy, she said, patting him on his fluffy little behind. Fluff obliged and skittered off, going a short distance away before turning around and sitting down to watch Rose. Rose began by taking a deep breath, closing her eyes and beginning to try to visualize something that makes me excited. At first, Rose tried to summon her thorns, which at this point had become a bit easier for her, now that she had the image that she needed, picturing that werewolf crawling down the hallway at her again. And in short order, her claws came forward. Thinking about it, Rose checked her teeth, finding that her mother was right. They had extended out, becoming sharper, but they weren't big or bulky. They had just gotten a little pointier. It was easy to see how she missed it before. Okay, so I guess that's done. Next step, the empowerment, Rose said, closing her eyes again and trying to find something that would get her excited. Excitement. Excitement. What excites me? She thought to herself. Standing there, the wind rushing by softly, wafting her hair ever so gently. Her new dress swaying in the breeze. Excitement. What gives me excitement? At first, she tried the idea that her mother came up with, a roller coaster. But that didn't work. To be honest, it more or less gave Rose a feeling of unease or fear rather than excitement or exhilaration. Come on, think, stupid brain, Rose thought to herself. Excitement. What gives me excitement? Rose worked her way through a number of different memories, movies, TV shows, life events, trying to recall exciting points in her life. But she truly didn't have that much to draw from. She didn't participate in any sort of sports where there was excitement or exhilaration about winning or losing, or compete in any competitions, or go hand gliding or anything like that. She really didn't have anything exciting to work off of. Rose liked to go with the flow. She much preferred calm over excitement, so she was having difficulty finding a memory that would work, until eventually a memory did come to mind. However, it made Rose blush a bit, as Rose remembered her first kiss. There was a boy that she liked. She actually dated him for a week or two, before she found out that he was a jerk. But before then, she had quite the crush on him. and had never dated a boy before or got a kiss. So, when they first started dating and decided to seal the deal with a kiss, she remembered how excited she was and nervous. She had always heard about butterflies in the stomach, but until that moment, she had never really realized that that was a real thing. A simply all-over tingly sensation as her heart beat rapidly. And as the thought ran through her mind, Rose began to notice her own heartbeat actually increasing in the moment, not just the memory. Okay, maybe that'll work, she thought, trying to focus on that memory, hone it, make it as clear as possible, trying to remember every aspect of how she felt at that exact moment. And as she did, it was as if that feeling came back. Rose felt tingly all over, and a surge of warmth as her heart beat louder in her chest. And as it did, Rose noticed something odd. She could feel her heart beating, yes, but Rose began to notice a second thumping sound, a feeling in her body, coming from her midsection, around her stomach, a second pulsing feeling. As Rose's heart rate increased, so too did this second pulsating feeling. And suddenly, it was as if the world became clearer. Rose opened her eyes, and it was as if she could see more detail in everything. She could see every tiny bug flying by in the distance, hear every bird chirping, every grasshopper hopping through the fields, all of it crystal clear. Rose didn't know if she had activated this enhancement ability or not, but she had a good feeling that she had done it, and for whatever reason, couldn't help but get a grin as she widened her stance a bit, staring at the tree in front of her, before dashing out, heading in its direction rapidly, pulling her hand back and widening her claws in its direction. She took a single swipe in its path, slightly passing by the tree as she did. And as her eyes glanced back over her shoulder at her target, she saw that she had cleaved her way through the entire tree in a single swing, separating the top from the bottom as the tree began to fall